Muy buenas a todos y todas, bienvenidos un día más a mi canal, bienvenidos a otro vídeo de Arena of Valor. Hoy os traigo un vídeo especial, un vídeo diferente. Bueno, como muchos sabéis, nos enfrentábamos en la Valor Series, en la mayor competición de Europa. Mi equipo, Cream eSports contra Team Queso, un equipo que bueno, que está lleno de amigos míos como son Navaja, Poti y algunos de los jugadores. Y bueno, que yo también estuve hace un tiempo en ese equipo, que tengo un pasado en ese equipo. Y algunos de mis jugadores también han tenido algún contacto o en el pasado han sido miembros de este equipo. Además, si juntamos eso con la emoción de que son dos grandes equipos de Europa, tenemos servido el espectáculo, tenemos el partidazo que para mí fue el partidazo de la jornada y que posiblemente sea de los partidos más entretenidos o más, no sé, más divertidos de ver por muchas razones, ¿no? Primero por el nivel que tienen los dos equipos, que estamos afrontando la Valor Series con muchas ganas, mostrando un muy buen nivel, y bueno, pues por otra parte ese pique sano, ¿no?, que puedo tener yo con Navaja, que es un gran amigo mío de toda la infancia. Sin más historia, habréis podido ver, o si no podéis ver, la primera partida de este enfrentamiento, que sabéis que es a BO2, al mejor de dos. La primera la ha subido Navaja, ¿vale? Yo le invité a venir a mi casa a ver el partido, que lo disfrutáramos o lo pasáramos mal juntos, porque se pasa muy mal, de verdad, viendo los partidos de tu equipo. Así que invité a Navaja que viniera a mi casa y dijimos, oye, vamos a poner una cámara ahí y nos grabamos las reacciones. Aunque, bueno, no se escuche mucho lo que decimos, pero al final pues nos estáis viendo reaccionar, las caras que ponemos, los gestos que hacemos, y creo que es bastante entretenido. Así que si no habéis visto la primera partida, os invito a que vayáis al canal de Navaja, que él la va a subir allí, y yo voy a subir aquí la segunda partida. Así que sin más historia, vamos para allá.
Hero that wants to take on the board. It's going to be a little bit more messy, because they can go through and just focus on targets here and not worry about the OP bounce, knowing that they were in control of game one. So just bat out kind of the borderline characters like Lundus, knowing that he seems to like to play against. Let Cream boil here, because they want to go Florentino or Richter or Sephora. Those are their three choices, and they're going to stall out dodging it, taking advantage of their first pick in the theory that they can get Alex P, and this is, I think, the theory. If they can get Alex P Sephora, they have a win. That might be a little bit ambitious, because they're leaving all the heroes on the table here, starting with just the overpowered supports that we have, and there's so many to get now. Yeah, the net as well. And I think that just Team Queso is going to be able to put together a ridiculous lineup. But they do get the Sephora for Alex B, and that may have been the entire point of the first phase of their draft battle. Results in a bit of a flip. Ruiz now looks like pulling out the Tulin. The Tulin's an interesting pick here, because he's a very dive-heavy character, and Sephora's very good at dealing with that. Double dive. Exactly, and that's something that, again, Sephora's good at. But what you can do is stagger your dives, force out the tide of life, and then go in again with the succeed in response to that dive. Cream, a lot of commit onto their backlines, and now they have the tools to punish it.
They actually off of the Omen, go straight for the Ryoma now. That's going to take it away from Ibuchichi, so he's going to have to potentially switch things up as the now is going to take it. So, he'll just collect 3 or 4. They don't have Ryoma. Let's go ahead and give you a quick map for size. He's going to get locked in. Joker's going to be locked as well at the last second for Team Queso.
I don't think this is the best situation for Crickneck, though. I think this was very well done by Cream. They took away the Ryoma, and that meant that Ibuchichi had to fall out to Crickneck, and that means that Crickneck is going to be diving into what? A Sephora? Into all these heroes can duel him.
Swapping over. Cream rounds out the roster with the Cephas and the Omen, so they still do get the Omen that they hovered earlier in the draft. Now, one more hero to round out the Team Queso. Balloon gets locked in. Hello, sir.
I'm excited. This is a good draft.
Lo que está aquí son tanques, luego es algo cañón, porque el equipo de Gas tanque puro no tiene, pero tiene los personajes duros que son Zephyr, el primero de arriba y el último abajo de Joker. Y bueno, la net, la support también es muy completa. Es tanque puro no tiene. Y nosotros, tanque, el Baldum, el del medio, y hasta la bota. Luego el de arriba, el Victor, el equivalente a lo que puede ser el Omen de ellos. Son así off-tanqueros.
They have a lot of focus. If the dive comes their way, they're betting on the theory that they can isolate the players and punish them for going in so aggressively. which they both have on exactly the same team fight happening.
One worry for Queso, though, is because they have a very all-in composition, everyone has to be on the same page. They fell apart against Clash because they were not on the same page, they were not team fighting correctly, and they weren't capable of handling those macro moments as a unit. This composition requires on that condition to be held true.
This is why it's so fun, though. I'm very glad. This is why it's so fun, though, because Cream are living in exactly the same world. Full CC, they're betting on exactly the same engagement for Queso. The Queso want to, but they're saying in Queso's ideal world will happen. We'll land our full stuns, and we'll have an answer.
Anyway, to finish my point, I have faith in the side of Team Queso to be able to get in and out of fights, use their abilities to brawl, and have Joker for that backline damage.
Team Queso hopefully can prove what they had in the 1-1 yesterday, as now they are up 1-0 over Cream Esports. A couple little scuffles, and it's time to get Game 2 started.
Cream already looking for those isolated players. Again, if there's a full engage from Team Queso, they're gambling. They can play defense against it and win out.
Exactly, but starting off this game here, I think that being able to invade from both sides will be favorable for Cream because of the fact that Zephyrus clears slower than the Crit deck. So that will help them out in these rotations. The Team Queso will have to catch up in the defense.
Cream to finish their first. Looks like on par. A little bit ahead, actually. They got one more monster to your credit.
I'm really looking to this game to see if the side of Team Queso can hold long enough for Sinjo to get his damage on the backline. In that draft, they were specifically picking Sinjo to be picking Joker to be multifaceted, so that they can deal with either marksman or non-marksman comp. Now that they have Joker, they need him to do that sustained damage from the backline.
Can we talk about Memorize, though? Because he is one of my favorite players in the world. He's on one of my favorite characters in the world. How does the Boldum fit into this TQ comp?
Because he's just so tanky to get in there. If you look at the side of Cream, they have mostly up-in-your-face characters, even though there's some range on their side. The fact that Memorize can get in there and just be extremely tanky and just to give them so much time for the damage to come out is going to be huge.
How do you counter a Boldum? If the Boldum gets the perfect engage, they go in, they find 3 people, they isolate one, stall up the other 2, how do you respond?
You actually have to just ignore him. You have to just say, I know you're annoying, I know you have a big pipe, that's very impressive, but I'm going to have to deal with these other heroes around here, like the Tulip, like the Krignak, once they dive in.
Memorized will go in, show the noob his big pipe. The noob needs to back out as Ibuchichi's nearby, but it's Ruiz to belt. Frost grabs him. The dive from Ibuchichi will find a response to 1-1 trade, but the noob on support means that there's so many other damage dealers still up. Frost gets into his bag, grabbing Ibuchichi in the back lines and seeing Queso
Also, that was a good move by Ibuchichi. He was unable to get out, but I still like the improvement that we see from him. And set the Cream is 10 ahead.
They lose 2 players, one of them's their jungler, the other one's their mage. They lose the Abyssal.
And what makes that particularly poor for them is the fact that Ruiz is supposed to have that early game on lockdown. He's supposed to be able to bully out the Zephyr before she gets into that tide of life.
So there's no way that Ruiz starting this badly is a good sign for the team, but it's not over yet, provided they can undo the damage that was done. Get the jungle and mid lane farm back in control. How can Team Queso do that?
Right, they just need to reset. They need to go back to the roots. They're starting to go back to bad habits that they had previously, which is to be a little bit too individually focused. Now they need to spread out. They need to play more of that macro game that they've been improving on.
A little bit of a grouped look in mid, at least. Ibuchichi nearby, Memorize. Sinjo down bottom, chained in by Talented. He'll duel him well. There's the flicker. Misses the death from above, but still gets the kill. Nicely done.
Interesting juke there by Sinjo, but goes down in the end. Team Queso on. This is a very bad rotation. 3 people to clear 1 wave, and they do not get the flank. This is what I'm talking about. Their rotations need to be better. They send 1 over to clear, and that's it.
Because they dedicated so many people, now they're unable to bring their full forces to bear on the mid lane.
Exactly. They're getting nothing done with that rotation, and they're just kind of waiting around. You see this mid block, they're grouping together, and they're not getting anything done with it.
Yarvex will poke in, see if maybe he can find something for the team to do, but he can't. And like you said, there's this 3-man Team Queso squad roaming together, trying to find picks, and it's just not happening.
That is just a lack of communication.
Alex P, though, scooped in tight to black. My God, it does, because Memorize backs off of the noobs here. He's got a great wind gust. That'll be Ruiz round the side, but not enough damage, and TQ get nothing with this rotating squad, and they've lost jungle control while doing it. Now Frost goes in. He's got Emuchichi very low, and the kill, and the golem. That's devastating. And Simjo, he's caught out as well. Talented dives in, and Simjo's low. He'll survive the death embrace and go under tower, but it does not matter, as this is a devastatingly good early game to Cream.
Team Queso falling apart at the seams. It seems they've forgotten everything that worked so well for them in game one. Like you mentioned, grouping up there, not getting anything done. And I gotta say, the Sephora is already paying off. That earlier flip onto Sephora, that would have been death for any other mage, but Alex be able to get out.
Alex P always guaranteed to do very well for the team, but I'd love to give a shout out to Frost, who's had great positioning all these fights.
Exactly, able to finish off members whenever they're low. He knows his rotations perfectly.
Alex P will check a bush here, zoning Memorized back. Memorized always that vision source for the team. Here he is pushing forward, gaining extra knowledge around this abyssal.
I like how you say that though, because Alex P checking a bush, that is such a weird thing to say. You don't check a bush as a mid, you will die. But Sephora allows you to do things that you can't normally do.
Because the Tides of Life give you not just invulnerability, but healing.
Exactly. And you can get away from almost any situation by using that. You use the Tides of Life. Perhaps you flicker away if things go very south, but then you can use your Wall of Water to get away. You can slow them down. Sephora has so many tools to get out of a sticky situation.
And that means that Team Queso is struggling to nail down the many prodding fingers of Cream, and Simjo will pay for it. He'll spend his camp laughter. In close duel, though, Frost comes out on top. Talented narrowly survived him, actually. I think goes down to the minions there.
Yeah, that seemed like it was Cream's side of the match. Able to get that kill. I don't know if they get credit, though.
No, it still went to Simjo. They're unpaid.
Oh my goodness. Minions have rights to you, TJ.
This tower will fall. Memorize does dodge Frost with another missed death from above. That's a little devastating, but Ruiz and Memorize are technically still caught out. It'll mean that Yarvex needs to come through on the flank. He does a good job. Team Queso only lose one tower.
I would like to see Team Queso get aggressive here because there's no Tidal Life available for Alex P.
And knowing that cooldown's down, they'll begin to poke forward. They do secure their own jungle for the first time in a while.
Exactly. Team Queso need to continue to make these intelligent plays to see when they have opportunities and jump on them instead of just sitting back in the side of their jungle and just letting Cream run all over them.
The Abyssal Dragon will go over to Cream Esports.
Absolutely, and that's what helps them continue this lead as they get to the 8-minute mark. This 8-minute mark is when the Dark Slayer spawns. If they can get that, then they're really going to be in a great position.
Oh, Alex B in trouble though. Memorized doesn't want to let them set up. We talked about that major cooldown on the Tides of Life. If Memorized can force it as an individual player with one good wild charge, that's a massive boon for his team.
Right, but the cooldown for the wild charge is very long itself. It's about 9 seconds if I remember correctly, and that makes it difficult for Memorize to force it. I would like to see someone else force it, maybe like a Ruiz or a Yarvex, and then they can back out again.
Talented's been trying to bait in Simjo. Simjo, keeps thinking about checking it. Talented his chance now in the mid lane. The rest of his team's going in. Team Queso are forced back. That was a very good Hurricane Wall, but the Wild Prison's there in response. And that means Ruiz gets an opportunity to chip in. Push down the noob a bit. Back off, safe behind tower.
All of these Wild Prisons are being defensive. I would like to see Memorize be a little more offensive with them, even when they're back behind their towers.
Memorize a little bit more aggressive.
Yes, please.
Cannot believe you're asking for that.
Well, he's been aggressive in the past. That's what won them games. This game, it's been not so good so far.
Cream have they've stopped bunching up. Their rotates have looked a little bit better. What's still going wrong for Team Queso?
Team Queso they need to stop having this happen. And they need to be able to hold on to these towers with more than one hero here.
Memorize does scoop up hot, but there's the Tides of Life. We were talking about a perfect disengage tool, and now the re-engage. Frost goes in. A 1v2. He doesn't care. Not even beneath tower. Memorized is low. They do finally lose Frost, but it's a 2-for-1 trade. And it's only Chicho dive back in. He gets a double kill off is engaged, and that makes it still relatively even. But Cream, they're split pushing, they're gaining ground elsewhere on the map.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but Ibu Chichi is keeping Team Queso in this game with these engages. I just need the entire team to do that, and then maybe they can force these fights a little bit better. They need to know that the defense is coming out from Cream.
Ibu Chichi has 3 of his team's 4 kills.
Exactly, and I wish the rest of the team would be as aggressive as he's being.
Team Queso seem a little shattered. You're saying they're playing very defensive. What's caused that? Is this just them being uncomfortable playing from behind?
They're uncomfortable playing against this particular composition. They have no idea really what to do about the Sephiroth. Right? They need to go in, force the Tides of Life, and then go in again. But they're just afraid. They're playing individually, and that's what's hurting them, because if they go in and then they don't want to force the Tides of Life because they might die. But they're not thinking about potentially their team following up and getting a wipe afterward.
We saw Yavex jump in 1v4 down in the bot lane, though, and that didn't work out.
Yeah, that was not bad, honestly. He just needs his team to follow up after all the defensive tools are burned there for Cream.
Memorize will get caught out. That forward zoning not working when they're so far behind. The whole team can be there to follow up. There's Good Wild Prison. Frost is nearby, though. The Afrobab will find him a kill. Yavax needs to escape behind tower, and he narrowly does.
That's one of the major weaknesses of Alan. His cooldown on his dash is so long that if he gets caught, it's hard for him to escape. Like, for instance, a TV can get out of there.
The Dark Slayer is being taken. Cream Esports are looking very good to take this game.
Except would not have predicted this after game 1. Cream really taken this game by the horns. However, it is in range of Abyssal Dragon.
Alex P wants to make sure they don't get anything talented on the flank. It's only Ruiz the flicker and Team Queso in big trouble. Ruiz stuck on double kill to talented. Dark Slayer picked up by Cream, and they've got the mid lane pressure in spades.
This is a nightmare for Team Queso. Neither did they take the Dark Slayer, nor did they have enough members on the Abyssal Dragon. Just players in their own jungle once again. Cream taking advantage.
They looked so split up, and now, like you said, they're finally paying for it. The pill has come due as the tower pressure comes through in the bot lane. The Drake's whittling away the mid tower all by itself. And there's the Ryoma of Hot racing up top lane.
Yeah, they're getting waves all across the map here.
Now, Wild Prison will come through. Memorize tries to play off of it. He's instantly stunned though. Instantly pulled back. The Tides of Life is there. Ibu Chichi is denied. He's deleted. Yavex down as well. It's only Ruiz and Simcho behind the tower to hold.
This could very well be a game right here, right now, TJ. There's just so much pressure coming in all of these towers at once.
Cream Esports, how have you completely flipped the tables? Team Queso have gone from complete control of the match to hiding behind their core with the 12 Simcho and Ruiz are definitely about to get effect for the wave. The Tides of Life is there, though, zoning the Tides. Leaving the
names on them.
I think that was one of the most complete reversals I've ever seen. Because it wasn't just that game 1 was one-sided and game 2 was close. It was that game 1 was one-sided and game 2 was one-sided.
We need to check the IDs of these players. Are we sure we didn't see the same team just do the same thing? What in the world?
So the realistic answer is,
when you're behind, you have great communication, spread out and cover your lanes evenly and have exact amount of defense that you need.
We may struggle because these, of course, are teamfight replays, but if you get the opportunity and you look for how Team Queso are moving across the map as we drift towards the later half of these replays, you'll start to see Team Queso grouped up a little bit too much together and always on the wrong side of the fight. They never know where Creep are on the map, and that is very strange, not just for a side with Memorized on it, but for a side with Memorized. Ruiz and Yavex, arguably the most aggressive core in the game outside of Nova Esports EU.
And specifically for these team fights, if you're taking a look at what's causing Team Queso problems, is they had no idea what to do with Alex P. Every time the Tides of Life came out, it seemed like they just got completely bamboozled by it.
It seemed like they were just resolving to ignore it. It really was strange.
That's a good point. You can kill Sephiroth. You can kill Sephiroth. You just need to force out the Tides of Life and then go in afterward. But it seemed like they're like, oh no, the Tides of Life is going to come out and we're going to die. And that it was self-prophetic.
They were right.
You still have to give credit to Cream, though, because they did recognize the power that Simjo does create in a lot of instances. 1, 4, and 2. 4 deaths in that game. Ibuchichi, obviously, with 5 being the most of his team, but Simjo is not one that we see die in a lot of those instances. Cream did a really good job at sending multiple members down to that side lane to make sure that he did not, A, get going from the Joker, but B, was behind throughout the entirety of the game.
I would like to point out, though, while we're giving individual players credit, that this was the second game in 2 days where Team Queso lost and Ibuchichi was perhaps the best player despite it.
Yes.
Normally you see jungles actually really struggle in losing games for teams because they don't have enough farm to do the burst that jungle characters require. Ibuchichi was the best part of this team, and he was yesterday when they lost as well.
Well, while we're sticking on individuals, Alex P, 38.5% damage for his team.
It turns out, if you ignore a Sephra standing in the middle of your team, that happens.
Yeah, good things are bound to happen. Before this game, he came in with 42%, still holding that true at almost 40%. Yet again, 86.7% participation. Only 2 kills in that game where he's not a part of.
Alex P also had the most damage taken. Let's just look at that for a moment.
Yeah.
That is...
That's kind of actually odd to me because I wasn't seeing a whole lot of focus towards him, so that must have just been him playing.
It was just poke. It was just poke the entire time.
Yeah.
It was just them poking and we don't want to go in, but we'll hurt you a little bit. And then he was perfectly able to just shrug it off.
And he got very, very ahead in his lane farm as well, which certainly didn't hurt.
Right. Look at Alex P's build, by the way, though. Over the Magi into Flashy Boots into Apocalypse, you have 35% cooldown reduction after 3 items. That is fantastic. And then he starts laying on the damage afterward.
Wow, vaya partidón que se marcaron los chicos de Cream en esta segunda partida y última de la jornada del partido en cuestión de Cream contra Team Queso, y al final el marcador quedó 1-1. Bueno, pues la verdad es que los dos nos fuimos más o menos contentos, ¿no? Porque ninguno de los dos había perdido, obviamente los dos queríamos ganar, pero bueno, creo que es el resultado más justo por lo que se vio en la primera partida y por lo que se vio en esta segunda partida. Así que nada, lo dicho, lo repito, si no habéis visto la otra partida, ir al canal de Navaja que la ha subido él, y bueno, y así que nada, chicos, espero que os haya gustado. Es una forma diferente de ver el partido, no lo hemos analizado, pero bueno, habéis visto un poquito las impresiones o cómo lo vivimos él y yo allí rodeado con nuestros amigos. Así que nada, chicos, espero que os haya gustado el vídeo y nos vemos en el próximo. Un saludo.